Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Today, we'll look at an extremely instructive endgame which my highest rated student, Sudeep, played in a tournament a few months ago. Sudeep actually crossed 2000 USCF, which makes him an expert, and he just keeps getting better and better. And I'm very excited to see what he accomplishes, especially if he focuses more on chess. That's a message to you, Sudeep, if you're watching. And this is a really, really fun game. So let's take a look. So Sudeep is black. Computer says it's a draw, as you can see. Might has a passed pawn here. Sudeep has a pawn one advantage. um, if white tries too hard to queen this pawn, let's say he brings the king and the knight and tries to do stuff here, Sudeep can do things on the other side of the board. So we pick up this game on move 79, where white plays knight b3, which looks like a very good move because Sudeep now has to deal with this pawn, which is about to start moving forward. But Sudeep comes up with a very, very, very nice idea. Beautiful move. Plays knight b6, which has two threats. The obvious one, attacking the pawn, but a less obvious one, which is checkmate in one move. So Sudeep ends up winning a pawn, which is great. Something important to remember, even in the endgame, you can get your king checkmated. So white has no choice but to give up the pawn. He has to get out of checkmate threat. Sudeep wins the pawn, but it's still a draw. And the reason it's a draw is black only has two pawns. If white plays it well, he would like to trade one set of pawns, give up his knight for the other pawn. It should be a draw because a king and the knight cannot checkmate. So let's see what happened. White brings the knight back, which is fine. Sudeep also starts to get ready to bring his knight into the action. Knight f1 by white. White does not want to move his king. His king is perfectly positioned. Sudeep improves his king. White keeps playing waiting moves, and very nice move by Sudeep. Knight d5, driving the white king backwards. King f2, and now Sudeep plays another nice move, knight f6, because he would like to trade knights. And after the king moves, he ties down one of white's pieces to the pawn. Plays knight h5, white defends, and now he improves his king. So white king can no longer come and challenge the black king because the king is stuck defending the pawn. So white has to move the knight, and he does it. Well, he can also move the king, but then Sudeep can bring his king even closer. So he moves the knight, but he chooses the wrong square. Knight f1. All of a sudden, Sudeep is now winning. Very nice move, knight f6, to reposition the knight here. Again, white does not want to play knight d2, because then Sudeep forces a knight trade. So the king moves to g2, which is maybe not ideal. e2 puts a little bit more of a fight. It's still winning for black, but black has to try a little bit harder. But white makes Sudeep's life easier. The king is becoming a little bit more passive. Knight e4. So now the king cannot come back. The knight cannot go here. White is getting himself more and more passive by the second. In the game, he plays knight h2. And Sudeep simply brings his king closer, king e3. Again, the king is stuck defending the pawn. So knight check, king e2. And white pieces are extremely passive. The knight cannot go here or here. The king... the king can try to go to g1. But again, remember the knight cannot move. So the simplest way to win is to reposition our knight, knight g5. White cannot move the knight because then we force a knight trade, which is winning for black. Let me demonstrate why really quickly. Knight h2, knight f3 check. Let's say it takes, we can take with the pawn and just queen. If he doesn't take, he can move the king. But again, we force a knight trade, we win this pawn, we up to pawns, and we will win easily. So knight h2 is out of the question, so king g2, and a knight f3. And the problem for white is he can't move the king here or here, that's illegal. Knight here results in a knight trade, king h1, and now we need to be careful. Do not take the knight, there will be a stalemate, but instead we play king f2, because if the knight moves here, we take it, it's nice stalemate, this will result in a knight trade, and the king has no squares. So very, very instructive position. So in the game, white moves the knight, but again, very nice move by Sudeep, knight d2, making sure the knight doesn't have any squares. The only thing that white can do is move the king. If he moves here, again, we force a knight trade, so the king goes all the way to h1. And again, very nice move by Sudeep. Now the king has no moves. The knight can give itself up. He gives itself up here. Again, make sure don't take with the knight. It will be a stalemate. So king takes, and this is game over. Very nice game by Sudeep. Even in the end game, you need to be careful. There could always be tricks. That's how Sudeep ended up winning this pawn. Let's go back. That's how he won this pawn with this beautiful move, knight b6. And then this was still a draw, but you need to make sure to keep your pieces active. The reason Sudeep won was because of very, very beautiful maneuvering, and white did not keep his pieces active. I hope you enjoyed this endgame. I hope you learned something to Sudeep. As long as you focus on chess, you will accomplish amazing things. And I cannot wait to celebrate those things with you. Thank you for watching. Please like, please subscribe. I'll be back soon.